Good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to our seventh mentoring program online, and today happens to be our Wiki Data Week. And my name is Kambai, and we have our special guest. I'm not going to introduce him right now. He's going to introduce himself, but then I can only introduce myself currently. Kambai, and we'll just pass over the mic to Piet, and then him he'll pass the mic until it falls back to our special guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kambai. And Jan, it's good to have you among us this evening. So thank you very much. And I want to believe we are on the same time zone today.
We are.
Awesome, awesome. So my name is Friday Kuyet, and I am also the member of the Tyap Wikimedians User Group. So we are co-organizing the Mentor Me program together with Kambai. So thank you very much. And we hope today is going to be a new dimension to the whole learning session because even me myself, although sometimes back I was able to participate in some of the program or some of the training with Wikimedia Deutschland, and I was able to learn a thing or two, but still, it's still not sticking. So I think today is going to, yeah, we're going to see how to, well, you take it easy with us actually. So, so thank you very much. And I'll just pass the mic back to Babi. Babi, kindly introduce yourself.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Babi Ishaku, member of the Tyap Wikimedians User Group. I'm looking forward to learning. I'm looking forward to having a nice time here today.
Thank you.
So, whom should
Thank
I
you.
pass the mic to?
Yeah, you can pass the mic to Danjuma.
All right, Benjamin, I pass the mic to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Danjuma Gwakap Anthony. I'm a member of the Tyap Wikimedians User Group. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gwakap. So we also have another person here. That's TFK. Sorry. Are you there? Come by. Why are you smiling like that?
I saw that there's dyslexia in the pronunciation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh, okay. It seems that person is not close. Okay, maybe we'll just return the mic back to Kambai as we bring in our guest proper. Kambai, back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much, Chris, and to the rest of us, you're welcome, and I hope that we would have more people join in the course of the session today. So I'll just pass over the mic to our special guest, um, who would introduce himself, and then we'll carry on with the session today. So over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to always to teach anything. So I'm very glad to be invited. And my name is Jan Ainali. I'm from Sweden. I currently sit in the Netherlands, living and working, and I've been Wikimedian for 19 years, I think, soon 20. And one of my new passions in the Wikimedia is Wikidata, and of course one of the fun exploring ways you can do in Wikidata is to query it. So that's what we're going to try to do today. And I was asked to do this as an introduction to Sparkle. So my main goals today for you is to know your way around, understand how the querying works, and also know where to find more information and stuff like that. So we're going to build some queries, but it's not going to be super advanced, but hopefully you will not need to scratch your head so long after I've left, because then you will actually know, oh, I'm going to go here to look for that, or so, because there's a lot of different clues and links that are sort of like almost hidden, but hidden in plain sight. So I'm going to try to share a little bit about the insight I have made over the years to find my ways around. So with that, should I start sharing my screen perhaps? And
Yeah, yeah, you can carry on.
all right. So we'll see if this is gonna work. I'm gonna share the entire screen. Yes, so that looks like it works. And maybe I need to zoom in a little bit for you to actually see. That might be better. So the Wikidata query service, it's very easy to find because the regular Wikidata is on wikidata.org. And if you want to query, you just add query before in the URL. That gets you to the query service. And it's also links from a lot of places on Wikidata. But this is how it looks. And if I zoom out a little bit first before we go in. Oh, not doing like that. You also see it like this. It's like a half window. There's some sort of window here where it says input your query here, and there's a top bar and a sidebar. And all of these are sort of important because in this big view, here's where you write your queries. And even before we start writing a query, I'm assuming you have a little bit of background knowledge in Wikidata, how things on Wikidata is an item, and an item has different properties, and these properties have values.
Yeah.
And the Wikidata query service is basically a way to ask Wikidata, hey, what items do you have with this property and this value? That's basically what it is. And then you can combine that in various ways and make it intricate, because also the Wikidata modeling is sometimes intricate. But basically, that's what you want to try to do. So if you can figure out, I want this type of item with this type of property and this kind of value, that is sort of what you can do with the Wikidata query service. And then your fantasy can go wild because there's a lot of different kinds of ways you can do it. You can, for example, ask for, give me all the people who has the language spoken, a specific language, or give me all the people who has, or the items that have exists in some country or something like that. So that's what we're going to try to go to afterwards. But before we go there, I'm going to show you a little bit around this interface because there's a lot of good things here. And the first thing you might do, if you're not speaking English, you can actually change the interface language on this button over here. I usually use this in Swedish because that's my native language and makes it quicker for me. And the beautiful thing with Wikidata is that it has a lot of different labels and stuff in Swedish for me. But if you use any of the other languages, you can search for them here and select any of them. But I'm guessing today we're sticking to English. And that's also like the most common values for properties and items. And if we go from the top here, we have first these examples. And I'm really in love with this little button here because it's so helpful in so many things. Because one of the way I learned editing on Wikipedia for a starter, and then on Wikidata, is looking at how did other people do this and then mimic them. And the examples is really just that. So here there are a lot of example queries that you can look at, and then you can mimic them or just change a thing from them so that you can use them for yourself for whatever you need. So I strongly recommend that you play around and look at the examples here later on. And one of the hidden features is if you remember something, I'm going to teach you a couple of terms today. Maybe I'll teach you how to group a thing, and then you forget, oh, how did I do with grouping? Well, you can actually, if you search for group here, you see I get some results. It's filtering, and it's not filtering on the title, but somewhere in this query, someone is using the word group. So you can actually go find the queries that are relevant. Maybe you remember, oh, we were talking about values. Well, which one has values in it? Or maybe you remember, oh, I saw a query before that had something about French Wikipedia. And then you can write French, and then you see, oh, was there something here? Well, there's a couple of things with French. So this search or filter is actually super useful for just finding your way around the examples. Then there are two other very good things for you to play around on yourself. So I'm not going to show them very quickly or very deeply today, but first we have this little query helper here, which can help you build the query without actually writing the code. So it will do it for you. So that one you can play around with. And after what I have showed you today, you will understand more what happens. But we don't need to go through that. Similarly, this query builder is even more powerful than the little query helper. Here you can actually build quite complex queries. But these ones are good to just play around with on your own. So we're not going to go through them today. I'm going to show you sort of like the genuine querying, and then you will have more background knowledge when you go into those. And then finally, before we actually dive into start creating a query, I want to also highlight that this help button have a couple of good things. First, we have the general help portal and the user manual. Those two are two good starts. But then if you sometime get really stuck and you have like, oh, I really need this query for an editathon or something like that, this request a query goes to a page on Wikidata where you can say, hey, I need help to make this query, and then the community can help you write it. So that is a really nice shortcut. All right, so enough talking around, and let's get into actually writing something. And I'm going to do this, take my own advice and start with example, and just click the first one with cats and see what we get. And Bob pumps out some very strange code, and I'm going to start explaining this code. But this is basically what makes a query a query. And there are a few things that we can spot here just by looking at the colors. We see things in gray here, and they are preceded by this little hashtag. These are comments. So the cats in the start, or here must be a cat, or here in the end, there's something helps get the label in your language. If not, then default for all, then en. So these doesn't do anything for the specific query. These are just for you to remember what do they do, or if you're sending the query to a friend so they understand. And that's why you will see them a lot in the example, because the example is trying to tell you what is this query trying to do. So that's part of the coding here. Then we have the things in red, which is basically telling the query service to do things. And one thing in common for, I would say, all of your everyday queries is you're trying to select something from Wikidata. And that's the query. You select this sort of like, do you have something of this? Is what you're asking Wikidata with the query service. So that's what the select is doing. And then we have something here that, well, we all know what a Wikidata item is, and I think you can figure out what an item label is. So basically, after the select, you're telling Wikidata, these are the things I want you to show me about this item. So I want you to show me the Wikidata ID, and I want you to show me the label. And then we come up to where, which is basically the conditions or the restrictions that you tell Wikidata. And that has to be included with the curly brackets, all of that. And in this query, we have basically just one condition, and it's saying, give me all the items that has the property. Oh, and here's a nice little thing. When you hover over with your mouse over, it pops up here a little bit. Give me all the property that has the instance of something. And what is that? Well, the cat. So it's sort of almost like a Wikidata statement, like, well, I want an item that has a property and a value. So if you can imagine how this would look on Wikidata when you look at a cat, an instance of a cat, then the item is what's in the top, and then you have instance of, and then instance of cat. That's what you're asking Wikidata with this. So give me all the items that is an instance of a cat. And the little trick here is that it's always the subject that you're asking about in the first, and then in the middle you have the property, and in the end you have the value. And the value could be something else, and the property could be something else as well. And then the tricky part here is that you have sort of to remember that WDT colon, you have to prefix that before the property. So that's why it's so useful to start with an example, because then you actually sort of like have that there. And then you just have the WD for the value or a regular item. And then here is a service that helps you get the label. So if I just now press, oh, and here's the important thing. The big blue play button is what actually runs your query. So after you've written your query, you have to press this blue button to actually run it. And it takes a little while. It took, well, this is 1.2 seconds because this is milliseconds, before it found 229 instances of a cat in Wikidata. And here's the full list of that. And we could change this. Let's say, well, I don't want an instance of a cat. I would like an instance of a dog instead. Then you can actually write dog. You don't need to remember the Wikidata ID for what dog is, because who knows what that is? I don't. I know a couple of Wikidata items, QIDs by heart, but not dog. And then there's a helper thing. If you press Control space or Command space on, I think, then you pop up this little autocomplete thing. And I should say that Wikidata Query Service is really difficult because of this to run on a mobile phone. It's super helpful to actually have a computer. It is possible to run it, but it's harder to write it because pressing Control space, I don't even know how I would do that on a phone. But then I click this, and it changes the QID from a dog to a cat. So now it says dog over here instead. We can delete this because now it's not a cat anymore. And if I press run now, we'll see how many, almost double the number of dogs in Wikidata compared to cats. So that's sort of like the first thing. like, and this is sort of like a condition you're asking Wikidata for. Do you have any items with this property and this value? Now, you could add more of these. So you can have a new line and say, I want an item with another property. What other property could we have for a dog? Maybe a gender for the dog. And now we're going to see, and we want this to be let's say we have a male dog. And now it's going to ask for first the human. A little bit weirdly, I have two different kinds of male items on Wikidata, one for just humans and then for all other things. So we have to choose the other thing here. And then we'll see how many, and now both of these must be true. So the item must both have the instance of a dog and the sex or gender to be a male organism. Let's see if we have any of those in Wikidata. Yes. So 198, almost half of the dogs have that. And then you can just keep going with this. You can just add how many you want. And for each line, all of them has to be true to actually show up. And you can make this as complex as possible to narrow you down. And of course, for dogs, we're already narrowed down to 198, but we started with 500. If we start with humans instead, I think there's a little bit more than 12 million humans in Wikidata. Then we really need to narrow them down by, yeah, I want this nationality, I want the gender, I want the occupation, maybe something else. They want an award to get you to what you want. So, but you can just keep adding these as many as you want. And this one was sort of like helpfully said, well, it explains this in a good Wikidata way by saying, I want an item. But these are sort of like arbitrary parameter names, similarly to how you can, if you make a template on Wikipedia, if you're the creator of the template, you can name the parameters of the template whatever you want. So if we instead want to be more clear, like, you know, this is a dog, you can just change all of these to dog. And then, of course, you need to change this to dog label. And now the query is exactly the same. I haven't really changed the query in itself, but it's easier for you to understand what is this query going to do. So that's one thing that can help yourself when you're writing a query, to give yourself parameters that you can understand. And that is one of the sort of the downsides with this query builder, where the query builder is super smart. So let's try to do this sort of like the same thing here. Like, we want it to be an instance of a dog and nothing else, and just run it with that. And it should get a result. And then if we show the query in the query service, this one couldn't, of course, say it was a dog so easily. So, well, it picked item, but then it has statement 0. Like, this one is more complex to read. So it helps you understand first, like, well, these ones are arbitrary. You can name them as you want. And please do something that helps you understand. And then this little magical line is really a very magical line. So I'm going to delete it and run the query again, and we'll see what happens. And it was much quicker. And suddenly, well, all the fields for dog label were empty, because what was that magical line did was to add the label to us. And how do I get it back? Well, here's a little trick. I said there's autocomplete with control space. So you need to remember that this is a service that Wikidata has to give you the label. So if you start writing serve, then you will see there's a couple of different services, and then here's the one with the label. So you just click that one, and then you get it back. And then if you run it, there we have the labels again. Now, this one has a couple of things in here. So this is sort of like the what, because on Wikidata we have labels in tons of different languages. So if I would want the languages in French instead, I could write just FR here. Now the dog names is probably the same, or even some might be missing. So if we specified French, and there is none in French, we'll see the QID. Apparently lots of dog names are missing in French. It might be because these are American dogs or British dogs or something like that. So if I then add EN after, then it will first take French, and if that doesn't exist, we'll take English. And now I think we'll probably have all back again. Yes. And of course, for dog names, these are not, doesn't vary. But if we take a look at a dog on Wikidata, there's probably something saying what kind of dog it is. And I'm not really good with dogs, so I'm going to see how, well, how is this model on Wikidata? Well, this one didn't have any species or... this was a very old one, 2,800 years ago. Let's see if we can take pickles instead. Sounds like a more modern dog. Do we have any? Yes, here we have animal breed, collie. All right. So let's go back and add something here. And here we're going to do a little bit of a new trick. So I want the dog, and I remember I need to write WDT to get a property. And it was called animal breed, but I didn't remember the number for the property, but I can press Control Space and it just pops up, animal breed. But I want all of them, and I want to see which breed they have. Well, then I add another parameter. So if I just write breed here, it won't matter what breed it has. It will just get us the value. And then for actually also seeing the value, we need to put it in here in the select. You remember this is where we ask Wikidata Query Service what you're giving us. So we'll say, give us the breed. And we also want to see the breed label so we can actually read it. And now we're probably going to see some in French first. There's probably more in French, and we're going to see a different on French and English. So I'll just press run here again, and we're going to new columns. One for the breed, where the Wikidata link for the breed of it, and then the breed label. And here we see Labrador Retriever. That might be either English or French, but Berger Allemand, that's probably
on the line.
French label. And then we see a lot of different ones. And now I see, oh, there is a couple of them that have the same, but this was a little bit hard to read. Can I sort this? And yes, you can. It's not called sort in here. It's called order. So you order by, and then you just select any of these you can order, or several also. So you can order by something. So I want to order them. So I first have all that are the same breed. And I want to do it by breed label also to get them alphabetically. And then within that, no, let's start with that. So let's go with, so we just see. And now we see something odd here. We see T coming before A. And this is actually because some of them are only in French and some in English. So we're going to simplify that and just use English for now and then run it again. But if you see something odd in the ordering, it means that we're seeing them in different languages. Now I've sorted the breed label here on A, or alphabetically. And we can see there are 2 dogs that are the breed Akita, Hachiko and Wazao, and so forth. And we're coming down here. Now there are also, you can actually click these buttons here to sort them. So if you want to sort them the other way around, you can just click here and it goes from wide down. But if you wanted to sort on 2 columns, it gets trickier. And that's why we can do, because now we see, do we have any good example? Yes, we see here, we have 4 Belgian Malinois. And this is not in alphabetical order. C is the last one. So if we want that one also to be sorted, we just add another one, dog label. And press run. And then we get this one beautifully in B and then CKL over here. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat if I'm not clear. So I'll have a second eye on the chat. So I think we covered quite a bit here. We have covered, like, well, how do I actually ask something? Well, you ask Wikidata to give you some things back, and then you give a couple of conditions. And sometimes you don't even know all of the conditions, but you rather like, I just want the value of this, whatever it is. Then there are also something even more, because more optional to say, because when you ask in this to Wikidata, let's remove this for now. And if you remember, we could do the hashtag that will turn this into a comment. So now this one turned gray, and the Wikidata query service will not bother by this. This is just text for a human. So we'll run this again, and we see there are 198 results. Oh, and we also see here we have the breed and the breed label. Why didn't we get... there was some without label. There is. These are, of course, empty because Wikidata doesn't look for this, even though we asked it to give it back, but it doesn't have a value for it because we commented out. But the interesting part here, we see we got 198 results. And then if I ask that, well, also give me the breed, the animal breed for all of these. And we see 198. And now when I run this, we go down to 98. So we lost half of them. And that's because Wikidata only gives us the dogs that has a value for these. So now there's nothing empty over here, which means that all of those that didn't have breed, because Wikidata is not fully modeled yet, didn't show up. So if you wanted them to show up anyway, then we can do a little trick with optional. So we can say this as a command. We encapsulate this requirement that we give to it. We say, well, this is actually optional. It's a nice to have for me. If you have it, give it. But if you don't have it, don't disqualify the other ones. So now if we run this again, I think we will, well, now we got 200. So there's something odd going on. Maybe someone is editing on Wikidata while we're doing this. That could also happen. And then we see first here, since we sorted on breed, the first 100 will not have anything. And then we come to the 98 that did have a value for them. And if we remove the sort here, or the order, I'll just remove this again. That will see, you will see that we have like first some that didn't have it and someone that did have it and so forth. So the optional is very good when you want to see the values of this, but you don't want to disqualify anything. And with that, we're going to go to another of the examples that are very similar here. So we had first one, the cats. Then we have the one cats with pictures. So let's take a look at that one. There's a lot of things going on here in the start. We have a comment. This is actually a special comment. It's the title. So that will give us a little top bar when we get the result that has this text. And then we have another one. This is the default view. And with the value of image grid, which means when the query has run and is done, it's actually going to show us the images like a gallery rather than this table. So let's just run this first. We see another thing here before we click. We see, I didn't tell you before, but we had like every line should end with a period, full stop. But here we see one that is sort of like a semicolon. And this is sort of like you can staple things that belong to the same first item. So writing this is exactly the same as if you were writing this. So this and this is exactly the same, but you don't have to repeat the item if you use the semicolon. So you will see that sometimes, and sometimes you will see this. Like this is, of course, easier to understand. This one is a little bit quicker to write and takes fewer characters. So it saves some writing time and sometimes make a shorter URL. But they're functionally exactly the same. Now let's see, what does this do? Well, we have an item. Like before, it should have an instance of, and now there it comes, it was just a little slow, and a cat. And then it has another one that says it should have an image. And this is just named something. Here it's named pick. And we see pick here up. We could also, since this is arbitrary, we can make it even easier to understand. We want this to be the picture. And now if I run this, we're going to get a different kind of result because we get the image grid here and we get images with cats on them instead. Oh no, not all seems to be alive. This one seems very odd. So this is probably an error in Wikidata. So doing queries can actually be a very good way to find errors in Wikidata because you're having your mind made up like, oh, this is the type of result I want to see. And it's very easy to spot things that are odd. Like especially if you do images or if you do maps, it's very easy to see, oh, I expected this one to be in Nigeria, but actually it turned up on north coast of Africa, up in Egypt or something like that. Something has been wrong with the coordinates. Or maybe it isn't. I made a query for runestones in Sweden, and suddenly one turned up in United Kingdom. And it turned out that was a runestone that had been moved to United Kingdom. So sometimes you can find, oh, here's an interesting thing that I didn't expect as well. But those are hard to see when you look in a table. But when you look on an image grid like this, that's very easy. So let's check out a little thing here, because we see here it says image grid. And if we click there, we see there's a couple of different ways we can display it. And by default, we get the table. That's what we got the first time. So this is the ordinary thing. And then this one is sort of like, there's some intelligence behind it, because if the query service sees that you bring back something that has a value of an image, it will enable you to click on the image grid. You can see a couple of these are grayed out. So for the map to become active, you actually have to select some coordinates. And I don't think the cats will have coordinates, so that will not show up here, even if I were to select them. And here we also see cats with pictures. The yellow, light blue bar, which is the title here, which can be very handy if you're sending the query to a friend with the result. Because a couple of things that you can do is, on this link thing, you can get a short URL to the query, and it uses the Wikimedia URL shortener to take this long thing here, which actually has all the text in the query in the URL, but it's very unwieldy to send it to someone. So if I copy this and just put it in here, you will see how long it is. Oh, yes. So it's very long, and it also has these special URL characters for spaces and stuff like that. So this one is not so easy to send to someone. But if you use this short URL to query, you get this w.wiki capital FPU3. And if I put that into the address bar, it will actually look up, well, what should this be? And then you get the same one here. So that could be very handy when you're sharing it to someone. But sometimes you want to just send someone can one possibly run a datathon using the Sparkle? Yeah. I'm going to come back to this question just after I explain how to share the link. Like this beautiful image grid of cats. If you want to share someone directly the link to that, you have the short URL to result. So if you click that one, I get a different kind here, or different URL. And if I paste that, you'll see it will automatically run the query and render it to immediately get the result here. So that can be a very nice way of sending someone a Sparkle query link. So you get directly into the result. They don't need to understand what is this and that you have to press the play button to run the query. They can just, oh, here is the thing. It's a ready page to view. Even if it's just a table, it might be easier to understand than, no, I have to click the play button. Now let's see. What was my question is, can one possibly run a datathon using the Sparkle? If yes, how can one create a simple editing page for editors to create new items with a certain number of item labels, like for a town, instance of, country, population, coordinates, image? I wouldn't say that Sparkle is the best tool to do this, because if they don't have these values, you cannot query for them. So what Sparkle is good at is looking up things that exists already in Wikidata. So it's not great for creating new items, because it cannot find things that are not in Wikidata. What you could do, which sometimes is useful, is, well, I want everyone that has one property, or all items that have one property but lacks another property, where you sort of like, well, in a data editathon, these people could figure this out and just simply add it. So I'll make an example of that just to give you some idea. I'm going to start from scratch. you can always just press the big bar up here to reload the page and go back from scratch. And I'm going to start write a query, not using an example this time. And we need to select something. So I'll start write select, and then I remember, oh, yes, this autocomplete thing. So I press this, and you see there's a couple of shortcuts here that you can choose. Like if you want to count things, we haven't talked about that you can count, but if you can do that. But here's something I remember. This was in the cat thing. So let's click this one. And it gives me all the basic things that I need to run a query, except the actual conditions for it. But I got the right syntax here in the start, and I got this service to get the nice label. So let's, for example, I want to query Wikidata to see everybody who's speaking Tyap, but do not have a citizenship added on Wikidata. They might be Nigerians, maybe not, but maybe you know the people, so you can look it up. So I'll ask for an item in Wikidata, and remember, this could be anything. So this could be a person. So let's do this like this instead, because that will be easier for us to remember. So we're talking about persons here. And of course, to make it a little bit easier for us to not get odd things in Wikidata, because sometimes there are odd things, like there are fictional characters and there are all kinds of things. We want this to be an instance of, so I start write instance and press Control space, and not the Instagram username, I want the instance of. And I want this to be a human, so I'll write human. And that's the Q5. Q5 is one of the few that you will learn by heart, because you'll come back to this often. So we know we have a person here that should have the Q5. And then we also want this person to speak some language. So we say language, not of work, but language spoken, written, or signed. Languages that the person or people speaks. All right, so this one we want. And then we want the value to be Tyap then. And then we have language spoken, Niger-Congo language spoken in central Nigeria. So if I'll just run this, it'll give me all the people in Wikidata that has this value. So let's see what we get for a start. We have 57 persons. So this is sort of like could be a start for making a Wikidata datathon. And then we could sort of like, well, which one of these does not have a value? So that you can do sort of like the other way around. And I didn't show you this before, but here's a little trick. If I say I want these ones to have person, WT, and we say country of citizenship, P27, and we say this should be Nigeria, like this. Let's see, we had 57 that spoke this. Let's see if when we add another requirement on this query, if we get as many or fewer. So we got 5 fewer, 52. Now, it would be nice if we could find these 5, because that's not a big task to do 5 edits on Wikidata and add that, or just check if they maybe shouldn't have it. Maybe they can speak Tyap, but they are living somewhere else and learned the language like a foreign language. You remember how I showed you this optional thing? This is sort of like that. Well, let's actually do the optional. So we just encapsulate this statement like, well, if it has it, it's good. If it doesn't have it, don't disqualify them. Show me them anyway. Which means we're going to get back to 57, and now there should be 5 empty spots in this list somewhere. No, it isn't an empty spots, because I didn't select the citizenship here. And this one is a little bit tricky. So let's do instead minus here. I want to remove those. Well, now I'm removing those that have Nigeria. Well, let's see, what does that give? Then we get these 5. So these 5 does not have the value Nigeria. So just like take a look at one of these. So this is also the nice thing with these links, that you can just go into Wikidata and have a look. Now we'll see, what does it have? Well, here we have the native language. Very good. Oh, but it's totally lacking. So this one does not yet have anything about the citizenship of this person. So this is how you can sort of like make lists for editathon or datathons by sort of like, well, every one of something that doesn't have anything. We could also do it like this, and here's a little trick. Now we took away all of them that didn't have the property, country, or citizenship with the value exactly Nigeria. So if they would have had another citizenship, it would be here. But if you say, well, it doesn't matter which one they have, I don't want anyone with this value, you can just do it like this. So brackets means any value. So now if this is set, it will be removed. So probably just 2. So 3 of these actually had a value. That's very interesting. So these 2 doesn't have it at all. Let's go back then and say, and then we can just actually press back in the browser because that's URL. Run this again. So these were those 2. Now let's say, look at Carl Follingstad, which has, oh, here we have. So this one has the country of citizenship United States. And of course, possible to have someone emigrated sometime, but still knowing the languages. So this is also ways to sort of like explore Wikidata, what is missing. And we could change this also, let's say, instead of country of citizenship, we can say of these that know this sex or gender. And if they don't have any value, show it. So now we'll see, everybody had it. That was very good. So everybody had a gender. So then we could do it like this. We want to see the gender. And to actually see it up here, we need to say, well, give me the gender label. So the label. And if I run it now, we'll see we get to 57 again. We see mostly male, some female. And if I click this little thing here, we can sort it. And if I click this one, we can sort it on from A to C here. It's not so useful usually to sort it here, but sometimes it can be, because like one thing to know about the QIDs is that they add up. So the lower number, the older they are. So you can see, oh, this one has been around in Wikidata for a very long time. This is just the item 8 million something, and we are now up to, or are we up to 130 million or something? And the next one is 13 million, 41 million, 60 million, and so forth. And then we have quite a few ones in the end here up on. So this is the newest one with 136 million QID. We only have 5 minutes. What do I need to highlight? Well, I want to again reiterate that examples are super useful, and that you can use here the filter to find something. Let's just quickly show like maps. Yes. So I told you before that you need to select a coordinate, and here is what they're actually doing that in this example. So they're using the property coordinate location, and then just any value you have for that, give me that. And then this star actually means give me all the results from this. But really it should be like this. This would be the same because those are the only two that this star would include. And then if you run this, because we have a default view of map here, oh, that was a lot. 33,000 results. That's a lot of hospitals. Maybe my browser will crash now. No, it actually worked. Then we get a lot of hospitals around the world. And you didn't really need to do anything more than saying default view map. And if you want to change this now, the map doesn't do anything for me. I need a table. You can just click the table and then you see this instead. Or maybe the table wasn't so good. Well, you can just click the map again. Now it takes some time for my browser to to do 33,000. Not the page is slowing down Firefox, it says. And this one can be interesting because here you might see something like, why is there something in the middle of the ocean? Is there an island there? Or there's usually something around, there's something called the null island. So if you coordinate, maybe that's further down. Maybe someone is actually actively cleaning them up. If someone puts in the wrong, it sometimes ends up on 0.0 somewhere over here. But this could be a way to explore, like, should we have, well, yes, these are actually, this is probably the Canary Islands. These are the Azores. I don't know. So there could be in some odd places. Do we have any more questions before we're coming into time here? Did I go too fast, or was this, or did I go too slow? Were you hoping to find more difficult
No,
stuff?
you're actually moving on the right track.
That's good to hear. Let's see if we have another one. There's so many things to show, but I think these are, I'll go over again, like the examples, I really like them. I often start with examples. Another thing that I often do is, thanks to the control space autocomplete thing, I usually just always start writing SEL and then press control space and then select something here. And actually, most often I'm using this. This is almost always my start, because here I have the basic structure for the query, and I just need to add some conditions. Give me all the items, and then I'll take something that that's an nope, no, that was the wrong instance of something. Instance of, let's say, well, we were talking about runestones before, and those are typically Swedish as well. So that's so I'll go with runestone, and then I'll say, well, I want them to be and here it comes to a little bit like, sometimes it's useful to know a little bit about Wikidata properties, because that will help you think about, well, what properties could a runestone have? And I want to have them located somewhere. And this one is a tricky one to remember. The full one in English, located in the administrative territorial entity. But that was the one I wanted. And I want them to be in a specific Swedish municipality where I grew up. So I'll control press here, and this is the municipality. And then I want to show them on a map. So I'm going to say item. I want the coordinates, something was it? Yes, coordinate location. And those I actually want to show on the map. So I actually have to write them. Coordinate. And then to show them, I also need to ask Wikidata for it. And then if they have an image, I want to show them. But I don't want to disqualify. But since I asked for a couple of special things like coordinate and image, we can show the map. And now we see all the things there. And now if I click on them, we'll also show the image. So there's the little square where I grew up. And I actually took this image. All right. Yes, I think we're at over time here. So sorry. I'll stop there.
The lesson is like we should continue over and over so that we can learn more. Or
Okay. Kamba, you speaking?
yes, my network is quite very bad.
Okay. Jan, thank you very much. First of all, I want to appreciate you. Thank you very much for this session. It is actually it makes very sense to us, and it also exposes us to so many things that we actually need to work on, because there is something you just queried when you queried the number of people speaking Tyap. When I saw the numbers, I was like, what's happening? So the whole thing didn't make sense to me. So it means I have a homework to do. I have to go back to the remember, because I know of so many items we created from about the Tyap people that actually I think the value for the languages is not well captured. So we have to go back and see how we can actually capture those ones. So thank you very much, because as for me, I think I was able to learn a lot.
That's good to hear.
And
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very confident that my community will also benefit from this. From what I've learned, I'll find a way to also impact other people around me. So thank you very much. And just so you know, as the session is going on, we just feel like you just running the whole thing on and on and on, because it's so interesting. It's so very interesting. So thank you very much. We appreciate you. So I don't know. So from the community now, please, if anybody have a question for Jan, so that he can just tackle them. Anybody with question? I know Kamba is over there struggling with internet. You know, Jan, we in Africa here, we have these challenges of internet connection. Is very poor. It's very poor. So we are all struggling. Quite a number of us have been kicked out of the session, back. So it is what it is. So, but we keep pushing. So, please, any question from the audience? I know, this kind of thing, a lot of them have questions, but they will not ask you. It's after the session and they will not come back to us and start asking. And to me, I think I might just waste their time before I can respond to that, because I have other things also to work on. But I want to like encourage us. If we have questions about this whole thing that we did here today, please let's shoot, so that Jan can help us to tackle them.
Yeah.
By so doing, we too will have opportunity to learn.
Yes, and also my username is user:_Ainali. So if you want to ask me anything on Wikidata, you're very welcome. And I also want to remind you again, remember under the help, there's this request a query. That one is
Yes,
very
yes.
good because there's some like super friendly, super quick, and super knowledgeable people watching that page. So if you put in something like, oh, I want this, I need this for my datathon or an editathon, and I can't figure it out myself, go there and ask because people are happy to answer. There's like little puzzles for people.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes. So come by. Your internet is back on. So
Okay. I was trying to speak all this while, you know, I don't just know what's happening today. It's a special day. Yeah, so thank you very much, Ian, for the time you have taken. And it was as if the whole session should just continue, and we
honestly,
just keep learning. It was quite exciting to actually learn a new skill today, and I would do my best to go back to try to learn the whole thing over and over. And as you said, if we have any challenges, I would get to that very place for request
talk pitch.
and put the
Okay.
request there. Yes, the top page, and drop the request there, and hopefully we would have our edit atom beginning from the 1st of November also. So within this period, before the period, we have this week to actually plan the whole thing. So probably this week you should expect a request if at all we walk and our legs hit the stone. They'll
Sure,
look
sure.
for a doctor to treat it for us.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So
just get
Jan,
ready with the injection.
yeah. So Jan, I don't know how many people disturbs you from Africa when you come for this. I want to believe that the Dagbani people from yeah, Ghana. I just want to believe those ones should be disturbing you to some level. But now you just got yourself another babies who will be coming and crying every day, looking for help. So, and just so you know, this whole program is a mentorship kind of program where we mentor the community about new tools, about new idea, new knowledge. So, and the whole thing is ongoing. So, from what we had just discussed here today, from the session today, just a part of it. And we want to hope that you will be available for us when next we call, so that you can explore other means again. Yeah. So thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Awesome. So thank you very much. And please, we are still open for question. Okay. It seems at this point, nobody have question. Everybody is just excited about the whole thing. And for those of us who are on the call, please note that the session, yeah, the session is being recorded, so you can always go back and watch the whole session again. If there's any confusion, you can always go back to it and watch over and over. And if you have a question, uh, you can reach out to Jan here. But if you cannot reach out to him, you can reach out to any of us, either myself or Kambai. Then we can know how to link you up so you can get it first-hand information. So all of us here, as far as the call today is concerned, we are all learners on this one. So thank you. So,
Thank,
Kambai,
thank you.
I think at this point, I don't know. So maybe Jan, do you have any final word before we just call it a day?
It was just an honor to be here, and I also love the Mentor Me program. You have had a lot of good speakers. I'm honored to be one in a row, and I know you have a couple of good ones lined up as well. So I'm excited for the future for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So, Kambai, you know what?
Yeah, yeah. I hope everyone can hear me.
Very loud and clear.
Okay, so thank you very much. Good. Thank you very much, Ian, once again, and thank you all for your presence. And hopefully, you also see that Wikimedia, WikiLearn actually released a new module. Um,
Yes.
um, um, I forgot his name. Asaf.
So, but of Okay, so I think I get where he's headed to. So for the entire people here on the call, the new module has been released from on Wikiland. I think this was released by Asaf recent, I think a couple of days ago, and we have also shared the link to that modules
Mm.
on our group, so we can always access those modules and do justice to it. It's not so different from the one we have done using the outreach dashboard training modules. It's not so different. So it is also important for us to go back and visit the Wikiland so that we can also learn this new one. It is part of the upskilling, and we hope that this one is going to be quite reaching for everyone. So thank you. If there is any other information that will come after this, we'll relate it to you on the group, and then we can all have access to those information. So thank you very much. And on this time, I just want to recognize few people on the call right now. Ishaku Babe, I can see the way you sit down, relax, you are enjoying the session. And also Eli Samson, thank you. Favor, thank you. And Rokundi, we appreciate you. See Sam quite there. Mr. Wayham, Danjuma, you are actually watching, and then I don't know who is watching who Danjuma, but all is good. So yes, TFK. So we all see everybody. So thank you so very much. We appreciate you for your time this evening, and we hope that by
Yeah.
next when are we having our next session is coming up on Wednesday, and
Yes.
we look, yes, it's coming up on Wednesday, and we all look forward to having all of us on the call. So thank you very much. And to you, Yan, we don't know how to say it, but thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope to reconnect again very soon. And just as Kambai have said, our Wikidata week is coming up. We are going to run an edit-a-thon for Wikidata data-a-thon for the entire month of November. So within those periods, if there is anything that we need, you can always reach out. I hope. Awesome. So thank you very much. And at this point, I just want to say thank you to everyone. And in the absence of any other thing, we can just call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
evening.
All right.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Good
Oh,
night.
sorry, I didn't ask you. How do you say good night in Swedish? Uh,
He has left.
if it's gone.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
maybe we'll say have together with
Yeah.
just
We
like
just
I'm
we can
doing
just
it.
say it here now.
All
See you
right,
soon. See you soon.
quite 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 shy.
Jokwensha,
Preparation.
Jokwensha.